All right, so we're going to start talking about payroll. So just some definitions to start out with. So we have gross pay or gross earnings, which is the total amount of earnings due an employee for work performed before payroll deductions are withheld. So what are payroll deductions? That's things like taxes or insurance or retirement, okay? Net pay or net earnings is also referred to as take-home pay. This is the actual amount of the employee's paycheck after all payroll deductions have been withheld. And salary is a fixed gross amount of pay equally distributed over periodic payments without regard to the number of hours worked. Okay, so what is the difference between gross pay and net pay? Gross pay is how much you make before they take out the taxes and all that stuff. And net pay is your take home pay after they take out taxes and other things. All right. All right. So net pay, how we calculate net pay is we do gross pay minus the total deductions. And then our pay schedules can be either weekly, which would be 52 paychecks per year, right? Because there are 52 weeks in a year. Bi-weekly, which is 26 paychecks per year, right? Because not every month has 4 weeks, right? Exactly. So we know there are 52 weeks in a year. 52 divided by 2 is 26. So bi-weekly is 26 paychecks per year. Semi-monthly would be 24 paychecks per year because that's twice a month. There are 12 months in a year, so 24 paychecks per year, and monthly 12 paychecks per year. So the difference between biweekly and semi-monthly, students sometimes get those confused, right? So biweekly is every 2 weeks, and semi-monthly is every half a month or twice per month. So remember, biweekly is 26 paychecks per year, and semi-monthly would be 24 paychecks per year. Okay? So what is the weekly, biweekly, semi-monthly, and monthly amount of gross pay for an engineer with an annual salary of $78,000? So let's start with the weekly. So to find the weekly amount, we would just divide by 52, 52, right? Because there are 52 weeks in a year. Oops. Divide that by 52. And that will give us, let's see here. We plug that into the calculator and we get 1,500. Okay. And then for our bi-weekly, so that's our 78,000. And we're going to divide that one by 26, right? Because that's every 2 weeks. So that's 3,000. And then semi-monthly. So that's 78,000 divided by 24, which will give me 3,250. And then our monthly, we just divide by 12. Right? So 78,000 divided by 12, which gives me 6,500. Okay. All right, so then if we're given the monthly salary, we can figure out the annual salary, right? So monthly, that would be 12 paychecks per year. So we're just going to do 1,800 times 12, right? So 1,800 times 12 is 21,600. Okay, so then to get the semi-monthly, we're going to take our 21,600 and divide it by what? We're going to divide that by 24, right? So this column we would divide by 24. This column we're going to divide by 26, right? And this column we divide by 52, right? So we'll just put little X's here. Okay. So we're going to do 21,600 and we'll say X is our annual salary. Okay. So we get 900. So then our biweekly, we're going to take our annual and divide it by 26, which gives, divided by 26, which is $830.77. And then this one, 21,600 divided by 52, which gives me 415.38. Okay. Okay, so same thing here with our biweekly, right? So that's 26 paychecks a year. So in order to find our annual, we're going to do 875 times 26, right? And that's going to give me 22,750, and we just plug that into the calculator, right? Then to find our monthly, we're going to divide by what? By 12, right? So that's going to be 1895.83. And then semi-monthly, we're going to take our annual and divide it by 24. So that's 947.92. And then our bi-weekly, we would take our annual salary and divide it by 26. So that's 875. And then our weekly, we're going to take our annual salary and divide it by 52, which is 437.50. Now in this row, they've given us the weekly, right? So we're going to multiply that times 52, right? To find our annual salary, which is going to give us 17,420. Then to find the monthly, we take the annual and divide it by 12, right? So we get 1451.67. And then we have our semi-monthly. So we're going to take our annual salary and divide it by 24, right? So that's 725.83. And then our bi-weekly, we're going to take our annual and divide it by 26. So that's $670. And there we go. Okay, any questions? Right. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about employee wages. So we can have hourly, regular, and overtime. Where there are some others that we'll talk about later, but we're just going to start with these. Wages are earnings for routine or manual work, usually based on the number of hours worked. The hourly wage or hourly rate is the amount an employee is paid for each hour worked. So maybe you work at an ice cream store and you get paid $10 an hour. That's your hourly wage. Okay. Overtime, according to federal law, the amount an employee is paid for each hour worked over 40 hours per week. All right, so to calculate an employee's gross pay by hourly wages, we take the regular pay is equal to the hourly rate, so like $10 an hour, times maybe you worked 12 hours this week, okay? Calculate an employee's overtime pay by chain multiplying the hourly rate by the overtime factor by the number of overtime hours. Okay, so let's say for every hour you work over 40 hours, you get paid time and a half or 1.5 times your hourly rate. So then if you were getting paid $10 an hour and you happen to work 45 hours, then your overtime pay would be your 10, right? So your $10 an hour times 1.5 because you get paid time and a half. And if you worked 45 hours, then 5 of those hours are overtime. Okay? So then to calculate your total gross pay, you would do your regular pay plus the overtime pay, right? So Jim works in a factory for $7.50 per hour with time and a half for overtime and double time on some days. What is his total gross pay for last week if he worked 45 hours on Monday through Saturday plus a 4-hour shift on Sunday? Okay, so first we have to figure out his regular amount, right? So it's $7.50 times 40, right? So let's see here. That's going to be $300. So that's his regular pay. All right. And then time and a half for overtime and double time on Sundays. So Monday through Saturday, he worked 45 hours. So we're going to do 750 times time and a half times those 5 hours, right? So that would be 56.25. That's for his overtime on Saturday. Okay. And then his Sunday pay is going to be 750 times 2. Okay, because on Sundays he gets paid double time and he worked a 4-hour shift. So that means his Sunday pay is $60. Okay. So then we're just going to add 300 plus 56.25 plus 60. Okay. So his total gross pay for last week is 416.25. Okay. All right. Any questions on that one? All right. The company pays overtime for all hours worked over 40 at the rate of time and a half. All right, so you'll see charts like this in your homework, okay? So let's see if we can figure this out. All right, so for Peters, so we have to figure out the total hours that they worked, right? So we just add all these together. Okay? So we add all those together, and when we do that, we get 36. So overtime hours, none, right? So then regular pay is just 870 times 36 hours. So that's going to give us 313.20. I didn't really give myself enough room here. So his total pay is 313.20. Okay. Then Warner. Okay, so we're going to add up the total hours and we get 48. So how many hours are overtime hours? 8, right? So then his regular pay is going to be 725 times 40. Okay. So that'll be 290. Then overtime pay is going to be 725 times time and a half times 8, right? And that will give us $87. So then to figure out the total pay, we're going to do 290 plus 87, and that will give us $377. Okay. All right. Any questions on that one? All right. All right. So straight and incremental commission, salary plus commission, and drawing accounts. We're actually not going to talk about drawing accounts right now, but we will in the future. Okay. So commission is a percentage method of compensation primarily used to pay employees who sell a company's goods and services. So straight commission is commission based on a specified percentage of the sales volume attained by an employee. So this might be like in a clothing store or at a car dealership, right? Incremental commission is a greater incentive method of compensation than straight commission, whereby higher levels of sales earn increasing rates of commission. So in order to calculate straight commission, we're going to take the total sales times the commission rate. So Jean is paid a straight commission of 2.5%. If her sales volume last month was $253,211, what is her total gross pay? Okay, so what are we going to do here? We're going to take her sales volume, and then we are going to multiply it times what? Going to multiply it times 2.5% written as a decimal, right? So 0.025. And then we're just going to plug that into the calculator. And we get $6,330.28. Okay. All right. Now, sometimes you're given salary plus commission, which is a guaranteed salary plus a commission on sales over a certain specified amount. So Karen is paid a salary of $1,325 per month plus a commission of 4% on all sales greater than $20,000. If she sold $47,000 last month, what are her total gross earnings? Okay. So we're going to have her 4%, right? And if she's paid 4% on all sales greater than 20,000, then we have to figure out how much she's over 20,000, right? So 47,000 minus 20,000. Okay. So that's going to give us $1,080. So that would be her commission, right? The amount she earned from commission. And then her salary is $1,325 plus her commission. So our total gross earnings then would be $2,405. Okay. All right. Very good.